What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Wrestlemania 20, the 20th edition of my 39 Wrestlemanias in 39 days, and we are officially halfway done. I guess technically, because it would be like 19.5. So we're officially in the second half of this review, and we are moving right along. We're now in the middle of the WrestleManias that I actually watched live. So this is one that I witnessed live, unfortunately, for one of these matches, because this is the first time that I experienced disappointment in a match as a kid. Because as a kid, I just loved watching shit, right? I didn't care what it was. I didn't care what was happening on screen. I loved watching wrestling with my dad. But this is when I was about 11 years old at the time, or I was about to turn 11. So I was at that age where mindless entertainment just wasn't always for me, right? And I was actually physically disappointed by a match on this card. And ironically, it's one that most people were probably disappointed. And you've probably heard about it. And we'll get to it very soon. But let us go ahead and get right to the reviews here. There's the match card over there. There is Rob's notes on the side. A through F is how he has his labeled up here. Of course, my ratings are 10 through 0. Because we started with the letters and moved to numbers after I started watching them. But 10 to a 9 is an A, 8 to a 7 is a B, 6 to 4 is C, 3 to 2 is a D, 1 to 0 F, as it's always been. But for anyone that's new, that's how it works. So that's how you can translate Rob's to mine and how I come up with the averages. So, we are going to go ahead and get right to it. Again, I apologize. I'm at the very ending stages of a sinus congestion issue that I've had. So I apologize if I sound a little weird or if some of my words are said weird. It's just dealing with congestion and not being able to talk right. So I apologize for that. But we are going to get right to it. The first match of the card. By the way, this is actually the first WrestleMania since the brand split. I didn't put on here which matches were Raw, SmackDown because I didn't really care. But it is interesting as far as the evolution of WrestleMania is to note that this was the first WrestleMania of the brand split. So again, exploring the history, acknowledging where we've come from, where we've gone. So a very interesting note here. First up, we have John Cena versus Big Show for the United States Championship. This is John Cena's introduction to WrestleMania, of which he will go on to main event many WrestleManias, much to some of our disappointment, some of our celebration. His first ever title win, as well, is when he won the United States title off of Big Show here. Big Show dominates for the first half of the match, which is typical for Cena, typical for Big Show as well. They're the bigger guys, so they're going to typically, Big Show's a bigger guy, so he's going to typically take over and kind of dominate, but most Cena matches have a very similar formula, unless it's a triple threat or someone else is involved. Then he kind of shakes it up. But generally speaking, Cena's going to get his ass kicked. He's going to come back at the end. That's kind of what you expect from a Cena match, generally. This is kind of when Cena was a tweener to start his career. He was doing some heel tactics like he does in this one with the chain, and eventually wins with the brass knuckles. It's a heel tactic, but everyone cheered for it because it was John Cena. He could get away with it. Sort of like The Miz nowadays. He's kind of a babyface now, but he still does heel tactics. It's just kind of how it is. The crowd was hot for him right now. This was before the John Cena sucks chant started raining down. Everyone loved John Cena here. It took 2 FUs to take out the big man. Everyone was super big on it. It was a huge deal. It still made Big Show look strong because it took 2 FUs to do it. This is again, as of course, before he changed it to the AA since it went PG-13. I thought that Big Show looked immaculate in this match. He was in his prime. He was moving well. The camera work helped his moves look even better. I mean, he took a boot to Cena that looked fucking immaculate. But I also think the camera kind of helped with it a little bit. But the crowd still gave a huge pop to it. So it was still good for them as well. Overall, I thought this match was good for an opener. A little bit slower than I would have liked to it have been. And I feel like me and Rob kind of agree here. Good moments, crowd was hot, match was okay. As well as Big Show moved, the match itself was still slow. Cena had not kind of gotten his legs under him, so to speak, in order to carry a match for a long term. It was a shorter match as well. I gave this match a 6 out of 10. Rob agrees, 6 out of 10 with that C+. So, again, great match, great introduction for John Cena, and a 6 is not a bad opener either. So, pretty good start. I did not realize this, but there were 2 tag matches. Initially, I forgot that there's 2 tag titles, one for Raw, one for SmackDown. So here we have the World Tag Team, Fatal 4-Way between Booker T and RVD, who had the titles coming in as well. They ended up winning this match against Garrison Cade and Mark Jindrak. La Resistance, which was Rene Dupree and Rob Conway, versus the Dudley Boys. Again, I was very confused because I was looking at the match card beforehand and I saw 2 tag matches and I was like, that's weird. Do they have to defend it twice? So, it wasn't until this match started and they said that this was for the Raw tag titles that I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense. Actually, no. I think this is SmackDown. It doesn't matter. It's 2 tag titles. That's all that matters. Overall, this match probably should have just been RVD and Booker versus the Dudley Boys. That was the best contest. The other 2 teams just kind of existed here. They didn't really add much to the match and they kind of slowed it down when they weren't in there. But the Dudleys and RVD and Booker were excellent together. The crowd was really hot for the 2 of them and kind of dead for the other 2, especially when it was the other 2 in the ring at the same time. Just didn't stick with anyone, it seemed. I thought the match didn't really have a really good flow whatsoever. The crowd also seemed to only come alive, like I said, for Dudley Boys and the Champs. The match had some good team moves and some good spots, and RVD is always doing magic, but overall, I thought this match was kind of a dud. I gave it a 4 out of 10. Rob disagreed. Rob thought this match was a 6 out of 10. He thought it was a much better match than I did. It's going to average out to that 5. I think that's a good sweet spot for this one, and yeah, that is that's where you're going, to a 5. Next up, we have Christian versus Jericho. Christian versus Jericho. A great opening heat segment starts this match. The story going into this match was pretty well formulated and really well planned out. The crowd is very hot for it. It was kind of a love triangle situation with Trish Stratus, which I thought was interesting. You know, romance involved in wrestling. It's a soap opera for wrestling. You know what I mean? It's kind of what it is. So I actually enjoyed the story coming into this. I thought both men really put it on the line here. Massive bump moves on each other. They're both in their primes, so they're at their peak athletic ability. They're countering, their submissions, their big moves. I thought the back and forth was great. They're both really good submission experts at the time here, so countering into a submission was great, and every single spot was executed perfectly with a lot of action in between major spots, which is usually where a lot of these matches suffer. You'll have big spots, you'll have big counters, but then the intermediate kind of suffers. You didn't see it with these 2. It was fantastic from start to finish. The walls of Jericho that he put through, Christian kind of falls to the ropes. He holds on to the walls of Jericho and doesn't break his legs somehow. I thought that was an amazing spot. The crowd got hyped for it. Trish's heel turn was an interesting twist. I didn't see that coming, with her turning on Jericho and siding with Christian to give Christian the win. I thought it was an excellent pulled move. It advanced the story. These 2 would continue a rivalry for the next few months because of this ending. So I thought from a story aspect, from a match aspect, in-ring psychology aspect, everything all together, I thought this match was a 9 out of 10. It was a really great match. As you could tell, Rob thought it was a decent match. He gave it a 7. So it's going to average out to an 8. It's still a good match overall. 8s are good, so by all means, B's and A's are what you look for. And they at least met that mark, even though it averaged out a little bit lower than what I would have given it. Next up, we have Evolution, which was Randy Orton, Batista, and Ric Flair versus The Rock and Sock Connection. The Rock and Mick Foley. The Rock has come back to Wrestlemania to join sides with Mick Foley here once again. The Legend Killer was the real story here. The Legend Killer, Randy Orton, was being born at this time. His first victim was, well, he had lots of victims leading up to Mick Foley, but this was the biggest one. Mick Foley was still wrestling. Mick Foley was still coming back in and around, you know, on occasion. I thought putting The Rock and Mick Foley in a 3-on-2 disadvantage was a great idea because The Rock was coming back. Everyone was hyped for that. It added drama to the match. And it also made it so Ric Flair didn't really have to do as much in his age. But honestly, the best moments of this match might have been The Rock and Ric Flair. They had never gone to blows before. This was like icon versus icon again. And they made magic when they finally hit the ring together. It was excellent. The chemistry was there. The back and forth between them was great. The Mick Foley storyline with Randy Orton was great. I thought Batista was probably the low point of this match. He didn't really do a whole lot except for advance to the finish. I thought The Rock and Flair constantly taunting each other was excellent. And honestly, yeah, I thought that the RKO out of nowhere makes its WrestleMania debut. He takes out Mick Foley with it. But honestly, the charisma in this match, the emotion in this match, the story of this match, I thought this match was excellent. I absolutely loved it. I was entertained from start to finish. Not a whole lot of down spots in it. I gave this match a 9 out of 10. But again, while he thought it was good, Rob gave this match a 7. He gave it a B. So again, just like Christian and Chris Jericho, it's going to end up falling into that 8 category. This is a rare time where I'm overvaluing a lot of these matches that Rob thought were good but not great. So a very interesting trend that we're seeing here with WrestleMania 20. But again, this is why we have more than one person reviewing these, so it's not just my opinion on them. Rob gets his ratings in there too, so I'd love to hear what you guys think. For these 2 matches, do you think they should have been 9s? Do you think they should have been 7s? Or do you think the average 8 that it got is the right call as well? So, let me know. This is one that I don't think we're going to disagree on too much. The Playboy Evening Gown match. Tag team match between Sable and Tori Wilson and Miss Jackie and Stacy Keibler. It started off as a evening gown match, and then apparently they were like, oh, we want to strip, and so they stripped down to a bra and panties match. Of course, Jerry Lawler was jerking himself off in the corner, as he always does when women are involved, which is very unfortunate because it completely degrades the whole fact of women being on the card, but hey, it's 2004, so what are you going to do? Yeah, there wasn't a lot here. Really wasn't a whole lot of moves. Stacy Keibler used her long legs on Tori against the turnbuckle, and sort of like a choke position. Athletic, great, cool. It's the only move that's hit in this entire fucking match. Everything else is just look at the women in their bra and panties smacking each other. That's all it is. And there's nothing wrong with that if you're into it, but damn it, I can't wait for the Diva Revolution, where we actually get real serious women's wrestling. Because I love real serious women wrestling. The Becky Lynches, the Rhea Ripleys, the Liv Morgans. I love that shit. You had real women in the locker room that could fight, that could wrestle. But you never gave them WrestleMania moments until later, and it pisses me off. I gave this match a 2. It's a 2, alright? That's it. I will give it a 2. Because they were attractive women. Let's be honest. They're attractive. They're hot. That's the entire reason they're on this card, is for the fans to oogle and ogle over, and Jerry Lawler to get his kicks in, I guess. I'll give it a 2 because it's had a move in it, which is different than a lot of these women's matches so far that were just eye candy. Rob did not give it a 2. Rob gave it an F. He gave it a 1. I will argue that maybe Rob gave it a 0, and I will put it at a 1, which is honestly probably where it belongs. The next up we have the Cruiserweight Open. 10 wrestlers picked randomly with the champion Chavo Guerrero entering last. He would win. So I have a long note here for this match because it is 10 wrestlers, so it is technically 10 matches in one. So what I will do really quickly here is I will actually go ahead and read off my notes here for you guys, and then I'll give my grade at the end here of the match overall. So for starters, this match was given about 10 and a half minutes. So 10 and a half minutes, maybe it was 11 or 12. I have to look at it again, but it wasn't much more than about 10 minutes or so for 9 matches. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of where this is going. Match started with Ultimo Dragon and Shannon Moore. Lots of fast-paced back and forth, roll-ups, flips like you'd expect from cruiserweights. I do appreciate Ultimo Dragon's DDT, was absolutely excellent. Took him about a minute to beat Shannon Moore. So, Shannon Moore done after about a minute. Noble versus Dragon goes less than a minute, as Dragon never got his time in the WWE. Just so y'all know, I don't know if y'all know who Ultimo Dragon is. He is a legend in the Japanese scene. He is one of their head trainers now. He still wrestles from time to time, but he bounces from all the Japanese promotions, kind of training up wrestlers. He is, like, if you look at his cage match score is like a 9.47. He is a legend in every other promotion except WWE. Cruiserweights were not taken seriously outside of Rey Mysterio and Eddie and Chavo. And Chavo to barely, right? So, never got his chance in WWE. It wasn't what the WWE audience wanted to see. They still don't want to see it. It's very unfortunate. But he's gone in like a minute. Noble hit a counter neck breaker, hit him with a lazy choke to make him tap. It wasn't good. It was a poor choke. It was garbage. Funaki dives right into a roll-up pin. He's out in 5 seconds. Funaki never got even a chance to get in this match, really. Nunzio, who's a wrestler. Then comes in Nunzio, who's a wrestler, I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever heard of before this event. Never heard of Nunzio. I don't think I see him again, but who knows. He was given a whole 2 minutes of time to impress me. He didn't. His selling of being dragged off the apron into the floor to be counted out was really all of note. He did get his revenge on Noble, because he basically took Noble out. Billy Kidman stepped in, and then Nunzio took out Noble. I will say with Billy Kidman, the BK bomb from the top turnbuckle was insane to actually eliminate Noble. Easily the best move hit so far in this entire event. Then comes in Rey Mysterio. Still getting his legs wet in the WWE, so he's not like the main event attraction that he will eventually become. Eliminates him with a flip powerbomb off the turnbuckle. Then comes in one of my favorites, Tajiri. I loved Tajiri as a kid. As you can see, Rob on the side there, he also agrees with me. He is a big fan of Tajiri and Rey Mysterio as well. So that was a great contest there. He takes the 619, tries to miss Mysterio, ends up missing his ally Akio instead, gets rolled up to lose. The mist eliminates Akio, who was also technically in this match, but he was not able to participate in the match because of the mist, so he was eliminated before ever actually getting involved. Guerrero comes in. We finally get Mysterio and Chavo for 2 goddamn minutes, and then Guerrero wins by having his dad cheat to help him win. How I was able to write all this while watching the match at the same time, because that's all that happened. I literally just gave you a step-by-step indication of this entire match. There's nothing else of note. Chavo won 10 minutes for 9 eliminations. It was bad. I gave this match a 3 out of 10. I thought it was trash. Some good moves that'll prevent it from being an F, in my opinion, but this was a waste of time, a poor excuse to get 10 faces on the card, and you didn't give any of them time to actually do anything of note, so I gave this match a 3. Rob disagreed to an extent. He gave it a 4. It's not much better, but it is better than what I gave it, so that 3.5 average is going to make it a 4, but it's still a low spot on this overall card here. Talk about low spots. So remember how I said that there's a match on this card that I remember physically disappointing me as a kid? Here we go. Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. The infamous WrestleMania 20 match between these two that the crowd took over. Goldberg had openly admitted he was leaving the WWE. As a matter of fact, he was leaving wrestling in general for about 10 years. Brock Lesnar wanted to go relive his football dreams while he could, which fucking failed there. I don't think he lasted a season. But they had both openly said they were leaving. And then you put the two of them in a match, and you make Stone Cold Steve Austin the guest referee to try to save the match. And there's no saving it. The crowd took over immediately. Loud, ruckus boos about this match. No one cared. No one wanted it. That you could tell that they were cheering a little bit for some of the moves, but it took them 5 minutes for a move to be hit because Brock Lesnar was letting the crowd fuck with him hard. You could tell he was visually upset. He was very frustrated. Brock Lesnar had to keep yelling at him to pay attention, focus on me, not them. Like this, I don't think Brock Lesnar was expecting this reaction. and he did not know how to handle it. Stone Cold was laughing. You could tell Stone Cold was uncomfortable being in this event. He wasn't having it. This was bad. This was flat out bad. Brock cussing out the crowd. Steve he looked mad. I think there's about 8 total moves hit in this entire match. There were so many lock holds to try to get Brock Lesnar to calm down. This match was bad. 3 spears and a jackhammer ended the suffering. Brock flips off the crowd as he leaves. He flips off Steve Austin. Steve Austin hits him in the stunner. He stuns Goldberg. That's the best fucking part of the match, when Stone Cold does Stone Cold things and stunners everyone and drinks beer on top of them. Good riddance, honestly. Just absolute, I hated this match entirely. I gave this match a 1. Hard match. Crowd, congrats. You did what you set out to do. You ruined the match. That's what you wanted. You took it over. I gave this match a 1. Rob agrees with me, gave it an F as well. It's getting the 1. Not a 2. It's getting a 1. This match was bad. But infamously bad. Which is weird, because this is one of those matches that's so bad because of the crowd and because of how the two of them took it, that it actually makes the match memorable in a bad way. Which is weird, because most of these matches that are bad, no one just talks about them. They're just bad, they're shit, we don't talk about them. It's why this match was so bad that everyone talks about it. And I was such a huge Brock Lesnar fan as a kid that to see this match, I was upset. I didn't like this match. I remember visibly telling my dad that match sucked. It is a core memory in my head. It's probably my first core memory of wrestling is me telling my dad that sucked. And I think that is the funniest thing ever. That I'm such a big WWE fan again now, when I was literally about to stop watching because of this match as a kid. That's how bad this match was. Next up, we have the second tag team match, WWE Tag Team Champion match between Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hotty, who were the champions coming in. They would win, defeating APA, the Bastion Brothers, and Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, or Team Angle. I think they were still Team Angle at this point. They might have just been their own thing, but I thought this match had a much better work rate than the previous tag match, but the moves themselves weren't much better. They did more things, and all 4 teams were involved a little bit more, and the crowd didn't hate it. But I think the crowd was just happy to get a match that wasn't the last one. Honestly, same thing. I gave this match a 5 out of 10. I thought it was slightly better than the previous one, but there really wasn't much to note. A very middle of the road match. Rob actually gave this match again a 6 out of 10. So just like the last one, I gave it a 4. He gave it a 5 or a 6, and it averaged out to a 5. I gave this one a 5. He gave this one a 6. It's gonna bump up to a 6 because of that 0.5 rule. I don't think these two were 5 and 6. I still think they're 4 and 5, but it's whatever. Not worth fighting over. This match, these tag matches were forgettable in my opinion. Next up, we have the World Women's title match, which is a title versus hair match between Victoria and Molly Holly. I didn't hate this match. I thought this match just kind of existed. Nothing spectacular. Best move of the match was Molly attempting Victoria's finisher, which Victoria ended up reversing into the finishing roll-up pin. Molly Holly ended up getting her signature buzz cut, which she ended up kind of keeping the hair short for the rest of her career. I did some research, and it turns out that the only way to get this match on the card was for Molly to agree to this match stipulation. Like, she was like, hey, listen, I will put my hair on the line if you make this match happen at WrestleMania. And they said, well, okay, I guess we'll do it then, for the spectacle purposes of it. Honestly, I always thought Molly Holly rocked the fuck out of that look. I always thought she was great looking with the short hair. Just sucks that it was the only reason to get it on the card. I gave this match a 3 out of 10. I didn't think it was very good. Rob disagrees. He gave his match a C, which is going to be a 5. So it's going to end up averaging out to a 4 out of 10. I didn't think this match really had enough to it. I really didn't think this match had enough. Definitely could have been more, but it also shows that you had Victoria, who was very capable of putting on a good match. This should have been the only... I hate to say it, but this should have been the only women's match on this card. That's really it. This was a much better match than the previous one. I don't know. I feel like I could have given this match more time if you had taken the other match off too, to be perfectly honest, but what do you know? Next up we have Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle for the WWE Heavyweight Championship. Eddie came in as the champion. Eddie would leave as the champion. I thought this match started off in classic Angle fashion. Lots of chain wrestling, submission counters, amateur wrestling makes the match feel real. These were two wrestlers that could do it. They've done it in the past. That's the background they came from. You saw that on full display in this match. The power kicks in about a third of the way through the match. Great offense and domination by Angle. You can tell he's the heel in this one. Everyone loves Eddie. Eddie with comeback after comeback. Great selling by him. Great selling by Angle. The emotions, the crowd was electric. Eddie slowly looked more and more worn to make the desperation fire up. Every single time Eddie got fired up, he looks like a completely refreshed man. The crowd is fueling him. The crowd's getting hot. He's just a very electric wrestler. He was a very electric wrestler. You just love to see him do his thing. I thought the finish was genius. He loosened his shoe. So when Angle put him in that ankle lock, he faked the leg injury. So Angle put him in that ankle lock again to test it. He slipped out of the shoe. Caused him to roll him up. Good guy, bad guy wins again. The good bad guy wins again, rather. I loved it. I gave this match a 9 out of 10. It was missing a few more beats from a 10 out of 10, but I thought this match was great overall. Rob agrees with me, gave his match an A as well, so we finally have the match of the night so far. 9 out of 10. Guerrero and Angle. Next up, we have Undertaker versus Kane, with Undertaker returning to his dead man gimmick, hence the title card looking the way it does. This match was never going to be a long one. You knew it wasn't going to be a long one. The story and energy was the entire premise and preset for this match. Kane had buried him alive when Undertaker did the buried alive match against Vince McMahon. Kane is the reason he lost, buried him alive. Maskless Kane as well, which was really cool to see. I always actually preferred him as Maskless Kane. I know that is a very hot topic and it's a hot debate. I've always preferred Maskless Kane over Masked Kane, with the exception of his later run as Masked Kane. Then I preferred that, but overall, I liked seeing his expressions. I thought he was a great facial actor, which you don't get as the Masked Kane as much. But it's a completely different demeanor for him, and I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was, and effectively, an elongated squash match. Everything Kane tried to do would end up not working, and Undertaker had his number the entire time. The dead man was back, Kane was sent to hell. The story and hype around this match was enough to carry it. The crowd loved it, even if they were slow around the ring, like these two typically are when they fight each other. I gave this match 6 out of 10. The match itself, very okay. I would argue below average. The story, the emotions, the crowd, everything else, the selling by Kane made this match phenomenal. It kind of balanced itself out to that 6 out of 10. And quite frankly, I thought the offense by Taker was far better than when he was the American Badass, because he just seemed out of shape for most of that entire run. And now we're back to decent Undertaker wrestling. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Rob agreed, gave it a 6 out of 10 as well. So that is where it's going to go. And finally, we have Chris Benoit versus Shawn Michaels versus Triple H in a triple threat main event. A legendary match. One of the iconic matches in wrestling history. I'm tired of talking because of my voice and my congestion. So, what better way to save my voice than to send this to me and Rob and discuss it together in a match review. Welcome to the match review here for WrestleMania 20. We are here with the main event. Whoa, I forgot something. There we go. Let's try this again. Welcome to the match review for WrestleMania 20. I'm here with Rob, and we're here to review Chris Benoit versus Triple H versus Shawn Michaels. Now, first of all, I would very kindly like Shawn Michaels to stop producing bangers, because I feel like we've reviewed him as many times as we've reviewed Hulk Hogan and Macho Man at this point. But the man is always in bangers. He's Mr. WrestleMania for a reason, and he has once again produced an all-time classic top 5 potential match.
And it doesn't stop here.
And it doesn't stop here, because we haven't gotten to the best WrestleMania match of all time, in my opinion. We'll get to that much later. But it does involve Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, in case you're wondering. I
figured as much.
But we are, of course, reviewing this match. And again, we're reviewing this based off of the wrestling involved, not the people outside of the match. Again, as we've said before, last time we reviewed Chris Benoit, we're simply focusing on this match in particular. This match was phenomenal. Typical triple threat match to beginning, take out one guy and then focus on each other, and then the third person comes in and you rotate around, and eventually all 3 participants basically have a one-on-one section with each other. Shawn Michaels takes a turnbuckle toss directly to the face, busts him wide open.
That was nasty.
The man bleeds more than I've ever seen any other man bleed in this match. Like, it was like full Scarlet Mask, absolutely horrendous, like horrifying. I was just disturbed by it from the beginning, but it produced some of the most iconic images that I think I've ever seen. The double power bomb through the table that took Chris Benoit out for a large swash of the match so that Triple H and Shawn Michaels could have their rivalry moment was amazing. Also equally busted up Triple H. You had Chris Benoit coming back in to save the match. You had the entire finishing sequence with near falls and counters and submission holds, and then the sweet chin music over the top rope. The by far the most pristine, locked in crossface he has ever hit in his life to Triple H to win this match. Just an absolute 10 out of 10 across the board. I don't think there's any arguments there.
Clear crowd favorite. Sheesh. Say that 5 times fast.
Once again, another Shawn Michaels out of nowhere sweet chin music. The man was fucking cerebral with these things. A phenomenal back and forth match.
He wasn't an assassin?
No, that's Triple H. He's the cerebral assassin. Come on now, get your fucking nicknames right. It's so weird for Triple H to be the honestly, I don't know if I really have a low spot on this match. Like, none of them hold each other back. This is probably one of the best Triple H matches so far. Shawn Michaels produces bang after banger, and it's definitely the best Chris Benoit match so far.
The only quote downfall that I have of this match is the beginning, when it's the slow, methodical, typical Triple H and somewhat Shawn Michaels back and forth build up.
Well, every match is going to have that, you know. If they go too hard at the beginning, then you've spoiled the end, you know. And I think you know, there is an art form of wrestling when it comes to the slow build, fast paced ending. Chris
Benoit was the perfect hybrid of that.
I agree. So is Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
You see it a lot with Kurt. See, Kurt Angle matches, and again, I know we're not talking about him right now, but Kurt Angle matches are a little different because they always start off fast, then they slow down, then they speed up at the end. Triple H and Shawn Michaels matches have always been slow starting and then fucking chaotic, absolute best second half of a match you've ever seen since the last time Shawn Michaels was in a match. And I think it creates a point where you're like, I want to see Shawn Michaels on the card. Even if the title's not in the picture, I just want to see Shawn Michaels on the card because I know I'm going to get a banger out of it. I feel like he's one of the very few people that I feel that way about. In general, he's the modern Seth Rollins in terms of, I know I'm going to see a banger of a match with him, you know, which is why I'm so happy we get 2 Seth Rollins matches this year. So that's going to be 2 bangers. Story content wise was notwithstanding. So I feel like I've kind of asked you this a lot with the recent reviews here, but what would you say like your highlight spot of this match?
The very end where Chris Benoit tosses Shawn Michaels is going for the sweet chin music, misses. Chris Benoit tosses him over the top rope, Triple H is there to set him up for the pedigree, and then Chris Benoit counters out of it into the crossface, because that's one of those, like, as JR said, do it for your family. Or he didn't say it in this match, but like JR at one point was like, do it, kid, do it for your family. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was the Cody Rhodes match with Goldust in 2013 Payback. Mm-hmm. It was one of those, like, do it, Benoit, do it. And then he finally did it. Mm-hmm. And it set up the then iconic after moment of him and Eddie.
And it's so unfortunate, man, because it is by far the most iconic image we'll never see again. They have WWE has done a very good job of absolutely scrubbing Chris Benoit from the face of anything. Did you know that on official WWE websites, this match has no description? This match existed, but it has no description. Every other match, they have a description of what happened and who won. This match just says Chris Benoit, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. From the research that I was doing when I was looking through Cage Match and kind of looking through Wikipedia and stuff like that, some WWE official websites and official, like, documents and stuff do not even detail the winner of this match. And when they're doing interviews with Shawn Michaels and Triple H, even though this match is considered one of their personal favorites that they've been in, they're not allowed to discuss it.
Yeah.
And I think it's and again, we totally get it. It's because of what Chris Benoit did, and he's a horrible human being outside the ring. But the image of him and Eddie Guerrero, best friends finally reaching the top, that's an iconic image, you know? But I also understand the importance of doing what's right for both the wrestling community, the WWE, the victims' families. I understand wanting to absolutely distance yourself entirely from him. But there is a little bit of I don't want to say sadness, because there isn't any sadness, but it's almost a bit of, like, I don't know the word for it, but it's like, damn, we'll never experience that again. You know? I mean, we may. I mean, shit, again, we're going to WrestleMania 40, and the moment Cody Rhodes wins, I'm going to lose my shit. That's going to be an iconic image. So when I say we're not going to see it again, I don't mean we're never going to have a WrestleMania moment that eclipses that, but this was like the first major one. Well, I don't want to say first major one, because Elizabeth on Macho Man's shoulders. But this is a Macho Man Elizabeth moment with him and Eddie. And it's unfortunate because, you know, with Eddie's death, that image should be something used to celebrate Eddie. But because it involves Chris Benoit, it's forgotten about entirely. And it sucks, man. I wish... Again, obviously it sounds dumb to say I wish Chris Benoit didn't do it, because that's fucking obvious. But it's like... I wish things went differently, man. I really do, because he was a fantastic wrestler.
Yep. Nah, I mean, rewatching these WrestleMania matches that have been involved, like, I go back to, you know, little kid Rob, where Benoit, Edge, and Jeff Hardy were my favorite wrestlers. Top three. No, like, they were my Mount Rushmore of when I started watching wrestling. And I loved Benoit with a passion. Dude was just phenomenal. And then, you know, obviously the news broke and everything. And I was like, damn,
I can't even cheer for him no more.
Yeah, that was one of those. I was like, dude, do I appreciate him for what he did, but then fuck him as a person? Like,
yeah,
that's like... Young Rob could not comprehend that at that given time. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get it. And I think, you know, Paul Heyman said it best. As a performer, one of the best we've ever seen. From a technical wrestling standpoint, storytelling standpoint, one of the best we've ever seen. As a person, garbage, piece of shit. If he's your boy, fuck you. I completely agree with Paul Heyman. You know, if you wanna to somewhat acknowledge what he did for the business, by all means, that's what we're doing here. As a human being, absolute garbage person, and if you know, CTE, he's one of the reasons it's taken seriously now, because
which doesn't help his next WrestleMania match after this because he has a seizure mid-match.
I haven't seen WrestleMania 21 yet, so I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the spot when he's on the ladder and he does his iconic, it's over, and then he does the diving headbutt. I think it's on JBL.
Mm-hmm.
And then he, hits it, and then you see him start shaking, and then his body seizes in that moment.
Mm.
How he continues the rest of that match, I have no idea. But, obviously, his CTE just kept carrying on from then.
Yeah, very unfortunately. But I think that is a good spot to end this match review on. This match is an all-time classic. It's just unfortunate that it will never really be talked about.
Yeah.
Back to me. And welcome back. As we said, we both love this match. This match was definitely an all-time classic, 10 out of 10 event. So we're putting it up there. It is the match of the night. And we are going to go ahead and figure out exactly what this WrestleMania averages out to here. Give me 1 second. And this WrestleMania averages out to a 5.67. So again, unfortunately, a middling pay-per-view, which was not what I expected when I first kind of saw this event. I was expecting a little bit better from WrestleMania 20, but we're back down to the above average WrestleManias. Gone are the days of the great ones. JK. The next few are really good. So I'm excited to review those as well with you guys. So until then, you guys have a fantastic night, and I will see you tomorrow with WrestleMania 21. Have a good night, guys.